Part 26. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 251. Chapter 251, Wrong Expectation. Zhang Xiaoxiao faced the sun, stretched, and blocked the dazzling sunlight with his hands. Fan Qiuying scolded her heartbrokenly. Look at the dark circles under your eyes. How can anyone be like this? You won't eat when I ask you to eat in the morning, and you will continue to until noon. I tell you, after you eat at noon, you can sleep well in the afternoon. Never again. Go step on that sewing machine. Who would do that? Looking at the dark circles under my daughter's eyes, can I not feel distressed? Zhang Xiaoxiao teased Niuniu happily. Mom, I know. Please hurry up and make me some food. I'm really hungry. I'll go to bed after eating. But I made you a set of clothes. It's on display in the house. You can go in and take a look to see if it fits. If it doesn't fit, I can change it now. Hold Niu and pushed her mother into the house. Niu thought her aunt was playing a game with her. He also pushed her grandma's back with her small hands, and the two of them worked together to push Fan Qiuying into the room. Fan Qiuying was angry and funny, and felt warm in her heart. How could this girl still make clothes for herself? On the Kong were placed two pairs of clothes that had already been made. It could be seen that one was a woman's clothes and the other was a men's clothes. When she put on the clothes, Fan Qiuying herself was stunned. I didn't expect my daughter to be really good at this craft. Light blue shirt and gray trousers. The blue top has a slim waistline, which makes her look particularly energetic. This dress is much better than those made by tailors on the street. It was not until they returned to the farm 5 days later that Fan Qiuying realized that the amount of fabric her daughter had torn off was not just for her and her son-in-law. They had made a dress for each of them. Fan Qiuying is so distressed. My daughter worked day and night and made so many things. Look at it, no one is missing. Even the old lady and the old man of the Song family made a dress. The two of them took the shuttle bus back. Over there, Zhang Lishi called to urge me. After all, the old man and the old lady had already decided on a date. If they don't go back, they will delay the ceremony. Zhang Yu sent her mother and sister into the car, and looked at the 3,000 yuan in her hand. The money was given to her by her sister when she got into the car, and she told her that they had shared the money for growing ginseng, so the two of them shared the money. A sister and a brother each received 3,000 yuan. Let them make good use of it themselves. Zhang Yu couldn't accept it at all, and she still hasn't paid back the 1,000 yuan she borrowed from her sister. Although the couple saves 30 yuan in their bank book every month. However, after all, the couple's combined monthly salary is only more than 60 yuan, and saving 30 yuan is already their limit. The couple also wants to repay their sister's money as soon as possible. But this took time. As a result, the previous debt was not paid off, and later my sister gave me another 3,000 yuan. She didn't need to guess how hard it was for her sister to grow ginseng. It's not like she has never done farm work before. Just seeing how much money they make makes her think about how much hard work these people have to do. Of course, although she didn't know exactly how much money her sister earned on the farm, she just felt that it was hard for her sister to earn such a small amount of money, so why should she keep it all for herself? Zhang Xiaoxiao is now married, and she has her own family. The money was given to their sister's brother-in-law. If the brother-in-law gets angry with his sister because of this, it won't be worth it. But no matter what, Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't confiscate it, got in the car and left. Zhang Yu went back and locked the money in the cabinet, thinking that she would have to return it to her sister when she got the chance. Anyway, my sister is getting married in 2 days, and it will be impossible to get the money back then. Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others returned to the farm. There is still half a month before the autumn harvest. To put it bluntly, I want to get married now because this is the least busy time. There is basically no need to do anything like weeding at this time, because in the wheat fields and rice fields, what should mature has already matured, and doing anything at this time is useless. But I never expected to see Yehua. She originally thought that Yehua was going back. It had been almost a month since she last came to do errands for her son. Why was he still here? Actually, Zhang Xiaoxiao made a mistake. Yehua didn't stay here all the time. Yehua originally thought that things had been done for his son. After all, he had already agreed with Mr. Wang. As long as Fang Piashong went to find Mr. Wang, it was a sure thing. So she left the next day, but who expected Fang Piashong to go find Mr. Wang? He changed his mind and made it clear to him that he should go back to the farm and work hard. Fang Piashong went around the farm and announced to others that he would soon go to the county town to work as a worker, and many people envied him. Moreover, everyone invited him to a farewell dinner. Everyone wanted to establish a good relationship with him. If there was a place where he was needed in the future, who wouldn't want to work as a worker in the county? But whoever wants to turn around will not believe it. That person Fang Piashong was so good looking, so many people were laughing at him, and he fell ill all of a sudden. When he fell ill, Lu Hongmei treated him with care and concern and took good care of him. His relationship with Lu Hongmei is progressing rapidly. The problem is that he and Lu Hongmei were finally seen sleeping together. After all, in this era, the problem of male and female styles is still very serious. At this time, Fang Piashong can't even marry Lu Hongmei. The captain of the production team also talked to him. After all, this is a serious issue of male and female behavior. If they don't have a marriage certificate, it would be a big deal or a small matter if the news spread. At the very least, a note will be put on his file, and a list of people supporting the frontier will be screened immediately. If something like this happens again and he gets blacklisted, I'm afraid he will be the first to go. Fang Piashong was afraid and could only call his mother to tell him that he was going to marry Lu Hongmei. In any case, at this point, if he gets married first to stabilize the current situation, he will not be able to really support the frontier. Let's talk about the next thing later. When Yehua heard this, it was like thunder striking his head. What happened? Her son actually wanted to marry an educated youth there. Of course, what made her even more annoyed was that Mr. Wang had promised well, but then changed his mind at random. No, she specifically asked for leave and hurried over, specifically to go to the county town to question Mr. Wang. Unexpectedly, Mr. Wang was not at home. Mrs. Wang directly told her that if Yehua had any objections, he should go directly to their old man. This was what Mr. Fang called him personally. Yehua hated his old man even more. The old man was just a troublemaker. It was obvious that everything had been agreed upon here, but I didn't expect that the old man would ruin everything with just one phone call. But what can she do? She can only go back to the farm to see her son. When she knows everything about her son and understands the matter of marriage, it is a certainty. If he doesn't marry Lu Hongmei, and his son really supports border construction, it will be harder than climbing to the sky to get him back. I can only take a roundabout way now. Anyway, I am married to Lu Hongmei. At worst, I will divorce Lu Hongmei in the future. Who can know about things here anyway, as long as they don't know about it from those in Beijing? In the future, his son can still marry the woman he likes. Besides, the biggest benefit of marrying Lu Hongmei is that Fang Piashong brings up his family and his family, so naturally he cannot be included in the list of supporting frontier construction. It can also be considered a blessing in disguise. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 252. Chapter 252. It's actually her. Yehua felt unhappy. She had imagined that her son's marriage would be a grand affair, but who would have imagined that her son would marry Lu Hongmei now? What is there to do here? But seeing my son just get a marriage certificate and get married, I felt bad. She had to buy a decent home for her son and organize a wedding. The problem was that she didn't have so much money on hand. I was already feeling angry, but when I saw Lu Hongmei, I became angry. This daughter-in-law is not what she wants. Yehua had an important mission this time. After she returned, Fang Xiaowai told her. News came from Aunt Song's side of the Song family. It was said that the son of Uncle Song's previous wife was getting married here, and he had already obtained the certificate. Due to both emotions and reasons, their family could not pretend to be unaware of it. After all, the old man and the old lady are here. Fang Xiaowai knows that the old man treats this grandson differently than she treats her own fiancé. Although they are both biological grandchildren, I heard that this grandson almost grew up with the old man and his wife because his mother died early. Big. Emotionally speaking, the old lady and the old man are closer to this grandson. No, Yehua immediately thought about it. My father-in-law and Mr. Wang have no way to go here. This is because there is also an old man from the Song family. The old man from the Song family is much older than his father-in-law. So when she came this time, on the one hand, she was preparing some things for her son's wedding, and she was helping him organize it. On the other hand, she naturally wanted to get in touch with Mr. Song, so she bought a wedding gift. After all, I heard that Mr. Song liked this grandson very much. Not to mention, what a coincidence. She inquired about it and found out that Mr. Song's grandson lived at Kenking Farm, and his name was Song Moding. Yehua specially asked someone to buy a pair of watches from the sea market. This gift is definitely worth it. It cost a lot of money. As soon as she arrived at the farm, she heard that Mr. Song had already set a wedding date. The production team leader knew about it and the wedding would be held the day after tomorrow. The witnesses of the marriage were the production team leader and the forest farm director. Naturally, they did not dare to delay and hurried to the farm. Sitting in Mr. Song's house, talking to the old man and his wife. When Zhang Xiaoxiao arrived, she didn't know about this. Because she was in a hurry when she came back, she put down her things and took the clothes she made for the old man and the old lady directly to the old man and the old lady's room. Zhang Xiaoxiao gets along very well with the old lady and the old man. Sincerely regard the old man and the old lady as my grandparents. Otherwise, you can't think of them like this. Who knew? I saw Yehua as soon as I entered. The two people looked at each other, and everyone was stunned. Zhang Xiaoxiao almost went crazy laughing. Look at their bad fate. Let's not talk about my last life. In this life, I bumped into Yehua several times. Whatever Yehua did, he would bump into me. This kind of fate is quite unlucky. As soon as the old man saw Zhang Xiaoxiao, he immediately smiled so hard that he pointed at Zhang Xiaoxiao and introduced him to Yehua. Come on, let me introduce you. This is your aunt Yet. She came all the way from Beijing to bless you two on your marriage. This one's name is Zhang Xiaoxiao. This is my granddaughter-in-law. She has already received the certificate. I tell you, this kid is great. I really like this kid. Yehua looked embarrassed. What could she say, or what did she want to say? His face looked as if he had been struck by lightning, because he never expected that Mr. Song's grandson-in-law would actually be his daughter. Her son got married and she couldn't get a penny out of it. Naturally, she knew the situation at home. The couple's salary was dead, and besides their son, they also had a daughter. The couple can't live without spending money. These two watches cost a lot of money. Who would have thought that it would be sent here to Zhang Xiaoxiao? Yehua's Hung was angry, but what could he do with anger? Now that he had taken this thing out, could it be taken back? Hello, Aunt Yet. Zhang Xiaoxiao greeted him generously. Anyway, he was not the one who should be embarrassed. Yehua smiled. forced himself to smile, but unfortunately the smile was uglier than crying. The old lady looked at Yehua in front of her and was a little confused. What kind of smile was this? It was even uglier than not smiling at all. Why do you look down on your granddaughter-in-law? I couldn't help but feel secretly unhappy. After all, you are also a guest. When you come to someone else's place to be a guest, even if you don't like them, you can't have this expression. This is a slap in the face. The old lady actually doesn't like Fang Xiaowai from Fang's family that much. At first glance, this Fang Xiaowai looks more like Yehua and likes to work in camps. His grandson, whom she coaxed at such a young age, always circled around her. Show off your cuteness in front of yourself, and don't think the old lady can't tell. Isn't it just the old man's background, or is it Fang Xiaowai's future mother-in-law who is causing trouble behind the scenes? The old lady particularly dislikes such people who are trying to make camp. Otherwise, you can't go all the way from Beijing to this county. On the one hand, you want to see your old man, and on the other hand, you want to avoid Fang Xiaowai. Unexpectedly, Yehua from the Fang family actually chased him here. But if you don't hit the smiling person with your hand, you can't drive them out. Well. Yehua forced herself to say hello twice, but she really couldn't say anything else. Facing Zhang Xiaoxiao, I asked her to praise Zhang Xiaoxiao, even if I beat her to death, she refused. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't care about Yehua. She cared about her biological mother as much as she did in her previous life. In this life, she hopes she can stay away from her biological mother. This woman probably gave her nothing except a life. If the DNA report hadn't come out, she would indeed be Yehua's biological daughter. Zhang Xiaoxiao would really suspect that Yehua had brought it back deliberately to give Fang Piashong a favor. Unfortunately, things are unpredictable, and it is certain that she is Yehua's biological daughter. Gods will plays tricks on people. Zhang Xiaoxiao gave 2 pieces of clothes to the old man, and the old lady put them on the table. Grandpa and Grandma, I made these 2 clothes for you with my own hands. I just don't know if you like it. You can try it on. Since you have guests, I will go back first. If there is anything inappropriate, you can give it to me. I'll send it over and I can change it for you when the time comes. Put down the things, turn around and leave. This place is not suitable for her. She and Yehua have the wrong aura. As long as the 2 of them meet, something bad will happen. I will get married the day after tomorrow, and I don't want to deal with this person here and affect my mood. The old lady picked up her clothes and took a look. Oh, old man, this girl is really skillful with her hands. Look, the handwork on this dress is better than that of the tailor. No, I have to go in and give it a try. When Yehua saw this, he couldn't sit down anymore, and when he sat down again, he became expressionless. But the old man and the old lady haven't talked about their son yet, so this opportunity is not right. Especially after she saw Zhang Xiaoxiao, she felt very confused. This dead child would never deal with her in her life. Last time she met Zhang Xiaoxiao at Mr. Wang's house, but her son's matter failed. She was afraid that Zhang Xiaoxiao would make trouble again this time. Yehua had a hunch that Zhang Xiaoxiao would not like their family to be unlucky. Old man, I'll go back first, and I'll come over to help you the day after tomorrow. Yehua left in a hurry. The day after tomorrow. Be sure to talk things over about your son the day after tomorrow. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 253. Chapter 253. Is she also reborn? Zhang Xiao returned to the house, and Fan Qiuying saw an unhappy look on her face. What's wrong with you, kid? Why do you come back with this expression after giving a set of clothes to your grandparents? You're going to get married soon, look at your dark face and it'll rain. If Xiao Song sees you like this, he'll think you are. I don't even want to see his grandparents. Fan Jiuying pulled people into the new house. She was packing up her new house there, and everything she bought was placed in its proper place. Zhang Xiaoxiao entered the house angrily. Mom, you don't know who I just saw. I saw someone I really don't want to see. It's really disturbing. Fan Jiuying smiled and said, you said you are only a little old, but you always see people you don't want to see. There is so much trouble between educated youths, and it can still make people feel uncomfortable. If you can't see the ones you see when you look up, you still have to get along. In the past, you couldn't get along with others based solely on your own temperament and preferences. She was afraid that her daughter would not unite with others. Oh, my God, you know who I saw, it was Yehua. Zhang Xiaoxiao knew that her mother had misunderstood her. Fan Jiuying was stunned. Yehua. She and her daughter knew only one person with the name Yehua, and that was Zhang Xiaoxiao's biological mother. They couldn't help but feel nervous. Could it be that the adults knew that Zhang Xiaoxiao was getting married, so they came here specifically to see the child? Why is she here? Is she here to attend your wedding? Mom, Yehua is here to visit Mr. Song. He is here to wish Mr. Song's grandson a happy wedding. I probably didn't expect that Mr. Song's grandson-in-law is actually me. Didn't you see that when he saw me just now, his eyes were wide open? Yuan, I can't wait to pounce on me and eat me in one bite. I feel happy just thinking about that expression. Fan Jiuying felt relieved. She didn't just want to come find her daughter. She didn't want Yehua to pounce on her again. Ever since they knew Yehua, they wanted to take their daughter back. It was just to provide support for their son when he went to the countryside. Fan Jiuying didn't have a good impression of the Fang family. Although the uncle and his wife of the Fang family went to look for him several times later, even the old man and the old lady of the Fang family visited their home once. But the couple did not give them a good face. They feel that the Fang family is quite hypocritical. On the one hand, they do such hurtful things, which can be regarded as evil thoughts. On the other hand, they are also hypocritical, as if they care about this child. Isn't this just the same thing in front of their faces and behind their backs? Said. Hey, how does this Yehua know Mr. Song and the others? Is this really strange? Wait a minute, Song. His surname is Song. If I remember correctly, Zai told me that her fiancé's surname is Song. Go to that old lady. I have been visiting the old man in the countryside for a long time. Could it be that the Song family of Fang Zai is the Song family? No way. Fan Jiuying had often heard Fang Zai say how powerful and capable her fiancé's family was. But she never thought of Zhang Xiaoxiao. She really didn't expect that Zhang Xiaoxiao found a husband on the farm and actually had contact with Fang Zai. Two sisters married into the same family, and they married two brothers. Thinking again about the terrible people in the Fang family, Fang Zai always said how much her mother-in-law liked her. Fan Jiuying felt bad. If things continued like this, that mother-in-law would probably look down upon her daughter. If she remembered correctly, that mother-in-law was the stepmother-in-law, that is to say, Song Moding's stepmother. If you marry into this family, you are not sincerely causing trouble for your daughter. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at his mother's expression that was about to cry but had no tears. Mom, what's wrong with you? Fan Jiuying told Zhang Xiaoxiao about the matter, and Zhang Xiaoxiao was a little puzzled. That's not right, Fang Zai was married in her last life. But she was married to a classmate of Fang Piashong, whose name seems to be Feng Kaizi. That's a dandy. She spent a lot of money, and even after getting married, she still had fun outside. It is said that later on, Fang Zai cried and shouted that she would not get a divorce, but they still didn't want her and her children. but Zhang Xiaoxiao doesn't remember what happened specifically. Because she doesn't care whether Fang Xiaoyi lives or dies. At that time, Fang Xiaoyi liked what others liked, and the family was indeed powerful and capable. This was Fang Xiaoyi's criterion for choosing a spouse. They used their connections to transfer Fang Xiaoyi to the later art troupe. But this life seems to be different. How come Fang Xiaoyi has a fiancé named Song? Is it possible that I didn't know about this in my previous life? In her last life, she returned to the Fang family. Although the so-called biological mother was not very kind to her, she did not hide some things from her. After all, this was a major event in the family and a matter of honor. For Yehualai asked if Fang Xiaoyi had really found such a capable fiancé, why didn't she tell her about it? So these may not have been present in the previous life. But why is this happening? Zhang Xiaoxiao had a very bad feeling. Fang Xiaoyi's attitude towards herself in this life is no different from that in her previous life. She still has that condescending look in her eyes that seems to pity and sympathize with herself. The only difference is that after she disagreed and returned to Fang's house, when Fang Xiaoyi stayed at Jiang's house, her expression and tone of voice when she spoke to him seemed to be inquiring about something. It's a pity that she was very unwilling to talk to Fang Xiaoyi at that time, and the two of them didn't say a few words at all. Now think about it, Fang Xiaoyi's expression and attitude are completely wrong. Zhang Xiaoxin was shocked. Could it be said that Fang Xiaoyi also reborn? Isn't it possible? Is this rebirth a cabbage on the street? Can anyone who wants to be reborn be able to be reborn? I had suffered so much in my previous life, so it seemed excusable and justified to come back and change my previous life. And whether it is repaying a favor or taking revenge, this is a matter of course. Isn't it said that there is only one protagonist? But why is Fang Xiaoyi back too? If Fang Xiaoyi did not come back, then the changes in these things would be too strange. Zhang Xiaoxiao became more cautious and decided to find an opportunity to test Fang Xiaoyi. She felt that she had to be more careful if Fang Xiaoyi discovered that she was also reborn. That's interesting. How will the two people collide? Isn't this world in chaos? Mom, don't worry. You've also heard what your grandparents said. It's absolutely impossible for us to interact with those people in the Fang family after we get married. Song Moding doesn't have a good impression of his biological father and stepmother. We don't belong to each other at all. The state of communication. If they want to take advantage of the fact that it was my elders who bullied me, are you still worried about your daughter? Can I be bullied for my abilities? At worst, I came out on my own, and Song Moding would definitely not fail to protect me. Fan Jiuying feels that her daughter is a bit naive. How can a family lie so clearly? If you say you can't interact with each other, then you won't interact with each other? No matter what, they still occupy the seniority of the elders. If they are really asked to go back, wouldn't they say they can't go back? In addition, that is Song Moding's younger brother. What is this thing called? Fan Jiuying couldn't sit still, she had to ask the old man and the old lady. Things will eventually be revealed later. Just because you don't say it doesn't mean it's not happening. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 254. Chapter 254 Parents for a Lifetime. Fan Jiuying's words, the old lady felt as if she had been struck by lightning. She didn't know that Zhang Xiaoxiao had such a life experience. Zhang Xiaoxiao is Yehua's daughter? How can it be? Yehua looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao just now, and she didn't look like his biological daughter. Like an enemy, worse than a stranger. Is this biological? But these days, when she gets along with Fan Jiuying, she knows that this in-law is not a person who talks freely. He is very straightforward and can talk about one thing and another. It is absolutely impossible to talk nonsense. Moreover, What good will it do to the Zhang family to talk nonsense about such things? Is this about my biological mother true? Fan Jiuying was both angry and happy. The first thing anyone who heard about this would probably ask themselves was this. Grandma, do I need to fool you about such a big matter? Besides, don't I hope that this child is my biological daughter? You have also seen how close this child is to me. I wish she was my biological daughter. Yes, that's the same truth, but that Yehua, I really don't look like a little biological mother. How can any biological mother see his daughter not saying a word? Don't say anything. If you don't say anything, I really did not see it. Old lady, this little kid is suffering. Fan Jiuying feels sad when she talks about her daughter. Yes, this child is indeed suffering, but I think Yehua came here specifically for this child's marriage. You don't know, he gave me 2 watches. It was said to be a wedding gift for the 2 children. Just now I was wondering how anyone could give such an expensive gift. Maybe Yehua knew about the child's marriage and felt that he was ashamed of the child. This is a specially sent gift. I have to say, everyone makes mistakes sometimes, and the couple may regret it now. After all, they are biological parents, so I can't say anything. But I think if people really want to ease the relationship, just let them ease it. After all, they are biological children. It's not that the old lady's waist doesn't hurt when she talks while standing, but after all, she feels that it's impossible to tell who is right and who is wrong in this kind of thing. After all, she is an outsider. There is a gap between Zhang Xiaoxiao and her biological parents now. What if Zhang Xiaoxiao feels that she needs her biological parents again in the future? Sometimes people's ideas will change with time and age. As an outsider, she doesn't really want to accomplish this. Leaving room for the child is also good for the child's future. Fan Jiuying was surprised when she looked at the 2 watches. The watches looked very valuable. Moreover, they are 2 pieces and at first glance, they look like a men's watch and a women's watch. Couldn't help but feel a little hesitant. Could it be that Yehua really wanted to compensate Zhang Xiaoxiao? Then I'd better talk to Xiaoxiao. How to do it depends on Xiaoxiao. I don't want to embarrass the child. MRS Song nodded. Not to mention, the in-laws are really broad-minded. If they want to put it on themselves, they may not be able to do so. It can be seen that these 2 people are really real people, and they are sincere towards this child. Fan Jiuying hesitantly went back and told Zhang Xiaoxiao about the matter, and Zhang Xiaoxiao was happy. Of course she knows what her mother is thinking. Fan Jiuying always thinks that those are her biological parents, and is afraid that one day she will really want to find her biological parents. They cannot understand that kind of emotional need. In this era, many people are very attached to their biological parents. It is not like that in a few decades. The saying that the kindness from birth is not as great as the kindness from nurturing will be more reflected. Putting her arms around Fan Jiuying's neck, Mom, don't think too much. Yehua certainly didn't give these 2 watches to me. Think about it for yourself. When I came in just now, Yehua saw my eyes were filled with tears. It's about to fall out. Anyone with a clear eye can see the surprise on his face. If she really knew that I was the one getting married, would she be so surprised? They came here because of the old man and the old lady, and probably wanted to ask the old man and the old lady to do something. It happened to be that the old man's grandson was getting married and he gave him a generous gift, which the old man couldn't refuse. Think about it, if you really came here for me, why didn't you send this watch to me? Instead, send it to the old man and the old lady? Fan Jiuying pulled down her daughter's arm. You kid is also touching your mother. Look how old you are, and you are still hugging your mother's neck and leaning on your mother's shoulders all day long. If your son-in-law sees it, he should laugh at you. According to what you say, I also feel that I am afraid that Yehua is not a good person and he is not here for you. You girl, Mom knows that you are really good to your parents, but mom also wants to say a word to you. If you really want to recognize your biological parents, your parents will support you. After all, they are your biological parents. If they gave birth to you, they would be kind to you no matter what. What happened at the beginning? No one can know the truth, but mom just wants you to be happy in this life. Regardless of whether you recognize your biological parents or not, your parents regard you as their biological daughter. Just do whatever you want, your parents support you, and you don't have to worry too much about our feelings. If you are afraid that we will be angry, we will not be angry with you. What is there for our children to be angry about? Besides, your child is so kind to your parents, and your own biological child is no better than that. If your parents care about this, are you still a human being? You remember that in the hearts of your parents, you are our biological daughter. What is there to argue with your biological daughter? Even if you just did something wrong or there is something wrong with you, is it possible that your parents will still bear your grudge? Fan Jiuying tried her best to comfort her daughter. She was afraid that the child was worried that they would feel uncomfortable, so she had to draw a clear line with her biological parents. They did not want to become a stumbling block for their daughter. Mom, I am your biological daughter. You gave me life. Over the years, you have made me grow up with and piss. In my heart, you are my parents. I only have one set of parents in this life. You. Let others step aside. I don't regard them as my biological parents, and they don't actually regard me as their biological daughter. To put it bluntly, we are just each other. Mom, don't say that again. Having said that, I will feel very uncomfortable and feel sorry for you. I am truly thankful. I am your daughter. Zhang Xiaoxiao choked up. In her previous life, her parents tried their best to help her and get her out of the quagmire, but she just had to jump into the fire pit herself. Also let the parents jump into the pit of fire. She had wanted to tell her parents these words in her previous life, but unfortunately her parents died early. I couldn't hear my sincere apology, I couldn't hear the words I really wanted to say. She really wants to be the daughter of her parents for a lifetime or even several lifetimes. If possible, she would rather be the biological daughter of her parents. Although they have no blood relationship, they have a deeper relationship than blood relationship. Fan Jiuying held her daughter in her arms and gently patted her back. With tears in her eyes, she was willing to be Zhang Xiaoxiao's parents for the rest of her life. Her love for this child has never been compromised. I have never wavered because of whether I am biological or not. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 255. Chapter 255 Dreaming. Yehua returned to the dormitory. Fang Piashong was getting married to Lu Hongmei, and the natural production team helped them arrange a new house. If two people live together, they cannot be treated like other educated youths. It is not appropriate to live in separate dormitories. The new house is only 1.5 rooms, and the room still has the earthen bed, but there are basically no things. Yehua couldn't come up with much money even if he racked his brains. It's natural to buy things, but looking at the dilapidated house makes me sad. His own son actually wants to start a family and start a business in a place like this. Yehua was unwilling to give up. When I think of Zhang Xiaoxiao's current state, I feel even more angry. The clothes that girl was wearing were made of really cool material, and she was also very fat and white. Comparing him with his own son, he is no different from an old farmer in the country, but he is just like a pampered girl in the city. Why? This daughter was born to restrain herself. Yehua gritted his teeth. He should never have given birth to the child in the first place. It's all Fang Ziwen's fault. Alas, it's too late to say anything. What can I say? Lu Hongmei came in. Mom, let's go eat. If you're tired, I'll bring it to you. This is my future mother-in-law, so there is nothing wrong with trying to please her. Yehua looked at Lu Hongmei with a cold face, expressing 100 unwillingness. This mother agreed not at all reluctantly. Okay, don't be pretentious, I'll follow you and eat. There is not even a Kong table in this house. Others are getting married and there is a lot of excitement. There are always some things in the house. It is good for my own son to get married. Can't even afford to buy anything. It's not all the fault of that Zhang Xiaoxiao. Why did he get married? Her marriage was not a good one, as it cost her 2 watches. If Yehua knew that this watch was given to Zhang Xiaoxiao, he would kill her without even buying the women's watch. Does Fang Xiaowai know that the person Zhang Xiaoxiao is marrying is also from the Song family, but she just doesn't tell herself? These are all white-eyed wolves raised, this daughter is of no use at all. Thanks to myself for raising her for so many years and giving her a prosperous and wealthy life. It's a good thing now. When I got close to the Song family, I thought I was very powerful and tried to make trouble for myself at every turn. Normally, I treat my future mother-in-law much better than I treat my own mother. Hands away from home all day long, either living in the dormitory, or running to Song's house to curry favor with her mother-in-law. This time, she gave herself false news again. If Fang Xiaowai told herself that it was Zhang Xiaoxiao who married Song Lao's grandson, she would not be caught off guard. Yehua didn't want to stay in this room now, and he felt panicked just looking at it. Lu Hongmei curled her lips. It doesn't matter if you give yourself face, as long as you marry Fang Piashong, your goal has been achieved. As for Yehua Jiao being unhappy, it was not within her scope of consideration. Yehua thought that Fang Piashong was smart and he was not stupid either. Let's see who is better. Fang Piashong still wants to marry himself? 2 people came to their canteen. Large pot of vegetables, stewed in one pot, including eggplant, beans, potato, and vermicelli, but not the rest. They haven't harvested yet. It's still steamed buns and cornmeal. Yehua held his breath and stabbed the vegetables in the bowl with his chopsticks. Zhang Chaoyang, I heard that Song Moding and the others made a fortune this time. They said they actually grew ginseng in the forest. I heard that one person got at least several hundred yuan. Someone saw a dealer collecting mountain goods a few days ago. I went to the forest farm to collect it and saw 2 trucks full of it. Yehua has pointed ears. Song Moding. Isn't that the grandson of Mr. Song? Zhang Chaoyang is also unhappy. He has always regarded Song Moding as his opponent, but now it's good that he has been left behind by others. Is it fake? How is it possible? Who knows how to grow ginseng in those forest lands? You can? Or you can? None of us can. How can Song Moding be better than us? We all came from the same compound, who doesn't? Who knows? It's probably fake news released by someone. No, Zhang Chaoyang, my mother wrote a letter saying that Song Moding and his team were all sending money back. There were several hundred in the remittance note. The word spread in the compound, and every family in those families was happy. It's the same as the Chinese New Year. The postman doesn't tell lies. This kind of thing really cannot be hidden. Everyone who sent the money put a lot of thought into it. On the surface, they were sending a remittance slip, but secretly it was just a package. There were various souvenirs mixed in with an inconspicuous small package. The outside was covered with clothes, which looked inconspicuous. Showing off the mountain but not showing the water, in fact, it has been hidden. Also sent a telegram for family members to check. In fact, they were worried at first. But I was worried about staying with him, and I was also worried about the remittance order. In the end, I compromised on this idea because I was afraid that the package would be lost. Fortunately, there was no danger and everyone in the family received it. Really, impossible. Zhang Chaoyang himself didn't understand that they were all the same. Songmoting is nothing more than him. How can you grow ginseng? What a ghost. Boss, my mother wrote to me asking what's going on and why I don't send money home. I was speechless. We don't have forest land, let alone ginseng. I'm so poor. When can we send money? Huh. The family is short of money. That is, compared with others, I am embarrassed. I should have followed Songmoting. At least I could make money. Now I have no money and no food. Some people complained. After all, Zhang Qiaoyang could talk well to many people at the beginning and ensure that everyone lived a good life. There are no better days now. I was also greedy for the few hundred yuan from others. Who doesn't want money? They are all severely lacking. I can't even afford to smoke now. They have all imitated the old people on the farm, buying dry tobacco leaves and rolling their own cigarettes to smoke. But the taste is really unflattering. Zhang Qiaoyang threw down his chopsticks and slapped the table. Whoever wants to go to Songmoting's place should leave quickly. I won't stop you, but think about it yourself, why do people want you now? There will be no good end for you as a wallflower. After shouting, Zhang Qiaoyang strode away. Yehua's heart moved, so much money. Does that mean Zhang Xiaoxiao also has a lot of money? I felt regretful in my heart. If I had coaxed that dead girl, maybe my son's marriage wouldn't have to be so shabby at least. Fang Piashong threw down his chopsticks angrily and went back to the room to lie down. It happened that Songmoting's small collective got rich, and they agreed that the output would be guaranteed to every household. Now it's not their turn to share the money. Why is Zhang Xiaoxiao so lucky? You can also get some money by going to a forest farm. Lu Hongmei watched Yehua hurriedly go to coax her son, and she was eating happily. She is not the one who is anxious anyway. How about love? She finally understood that Fang Piashong was just an embroidered pillow, but it was of no use. In terms of brains, Songmoting and Zhang were not as small as each other. In terms of skills, they were not even comparable to the male-educated youths in their own team. Not to mention the lack of physical strength, if Fang Piashong didn't have a family background, Lu Hongmei would dislike Fang Piashong. But what can I do? I have a child. For the sake of the children, I can only make do. I just hope that Yehua can get Fang Piashong back earlier so that she and her child can go back together. She doesn't want to go back home. Her parents quarrel every day, which makes her brain hurt. Touch your belly. This child came at the wrong time. Yehua over there opened the quilt. Fang Piashong jumped up and said, "What are you doing? Mom, are you finished? I'm bored to death, please leave me alone for a while." Yehua sighed, looking at her son who looked like his was burned by fire. She was also tired. "Son, Zhang Xiaoxiao is getting married the day after tomorrow, let's go to the wedding together." Fang Piashong's eyes widened. "Mom, you still want me to attend Zhang Xiaoxiao's wedding? If it weren't for her, would I be where I am today? I won't go, even if you kill me, I won't go. I hate Zhang Xiaoxiao to death, and why? Let me go to her wedding." Dream. Mom, are you my biological mother? I am not angry. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 256. Chapter 256 Marriage. Zhang Xiaoxiao was dug out of bed by Fan Jiuying early in the morning. Yawning and swaying around, Fan Jiuying would die laughing. "Go and wash your face quickly. Mom will clean it up for you when you come back. People should be here soon. Your eldest brother-in-law is coming back today, and Mr. Wang is coming too. You should get up quickly and clean up yourself. How can any bride still sleep in?" She was afraid that when guests came and saw Zhang Xiaoxiu's disheveled appearance, they would say that the new daughter-in-law was too lazy. Zhang Xiaoxiao had no choice but to wash his face with water. With a handful of cold water on his face, he suddenly became more alert. "Mom, you wash my face with cold water, are you my mother?" A look of aggrievedness. Fan Qiuying hit her and said, "Yes, I'm not your mother. Wash it quickly." By the time Zhang Yu, Qin Ming, and his gang arrived, the educated youth spot was already bustling with activity. "Let's help together." 3 tables were set up in the yard. I borrowed this long table from the forest farm director. The stools were also brought along. Wipe it clean, place melon seeds, peanuts, fruit candies, and apples in order, plus 4 plates of glutinous rice sticks, trough cakes, shakima and animal crackers. This level is not available to ordinary people. Each plate also has a red double happiness character placed on it. There are 2 tables for men and 1 table for women. The 2 tables for men also had cigarettes. This is a big deal. Everyone who came was surprised when they saw it. But when they saw Mr. Song and Mrs. Song, everyone knew it. It is estimated that Mr. Song was reluctant to wrong his grandson. Actually, it's really a misunderstanding. The educated youth all know in their hearts that they are not short of money. If it wasn't really allowed and they were afraid of exposing their family background, they would have liked to use their own money to organize a wedding for the captain and Zhang Xiaoxiao. "We don't need the money. But now I can only hold it in." Zhang Yu and Qin Ming are busy without touching the ground. Their sister is getting married and they have to be busy in all aspects. The entire new house has been completely renovated. Zhang Xiaoxiao is now staying in the new house. The bicycle that the 2 men pushed over was brand new, and there were big red flowers hanging on the handlebars. Many people couldn't help but feel their eyes light up when they looked at this brand new 26 bicycle. This was the dowry from the bride's family. Although wedding ceremonies are not so extravagant nowadays, after all, there are still many differences between getting married and getting married. Bride price and betrothal gift are also an important method of comparison. Seeing how generous the woman's family is, the semiconductors Fan Qiuying bought 2 days ago are enough to make people jealous here. Having a semiconductor radio and listening to the news and storytelling is no longer the same feeling. In this era, no one can just have a TV in their home. It is not possible to have it if you want it, especially in remote forest farms where the signal cannot be received. But semiconductor radios are different. Everyone is willing to listen to this thing. And it can relieve boredom. Now my sister has brought a bicycle again. This can be regarded as a very powerful wedding dowry. It can be seen that Zhang Xiaoxiao is very favored at home. Educated youths have known this for a long time, ever since Zhang Xiaoxiao's parents came. They all understand that it turns out that there is also a preference for girls over boys in this world. But the workers in the forestry factory didn't know. Now these workers' sisters-in-law came and took a look at the good guy and realized that it turned out that the Zhang family doted on their children. 70 or 80 people crowded into several tables. Song Moding came out to entertain the guests. He was wearing a dark gray suit and a spotless white shirt. Zhang Xiaoxiao made this specially for him. The fabric of the suit is light and thin, so it is surprising that such a summer material can be used to make such a style. Song Moding was also shocked. What kind of wife did he find? Can actually do everything. I was secretly happy. Song Moding recognized that its style and material were of the highest quality, because he knew that he had seen this set of clothing when his uncle participated in foreign affairs activities in northern Beijing. The style is much worse than this one. Zhang Xiaoxiao did a very good job. What's important is that he looks so handsome in this costume that it almost takes away people's breath. Her handsome figure, deep facial features, and even her wheat-colored skin make people jealous. I didn't see the envious and jealous look in the eyes of the male educated youths. With a red tie and a red groom's flower on the chest. This is the standard outfit for today's groom. Song Moding knew that Zhang Xiaoxiao made clothes for his grandparents, but he really didn't expect that Zhang Xiaoxiao also made wedding clothes for him. He would be lying if he said he was unhappy. This is made by his wife. I didn't see the envious looks in everyone's eyes. Song Moding greeted everyone warmly. Mr. Song and Mrs. Song are also happy. The only flaw is that the male parents only have Mr. Song and Mrs. Song, and no one else came. Especially Song Moding's parents, even his stepmother, shouldn't they be pretending at this time? It seems that Song Moding and his stepmother are at odds with each other, otherwise such a scene would be just a pretense, and they would have to be pretentious. Mr. Song looked at the woman's family and felt depressed. When I get back, I'll call that bastard. This is his son. What does he want? The voice was deliberately lowered. I'm afraid that others will hear me and ruin the atmosphere today. Old Mrs. Song held her husband's hand tightly and shook her head. Why is this second son still so ignorant? He has been like this all his life. At what age do you still get angry with your son? It's true that the more you live, the more you go back. But today is grandson's big day. They have to be happy. Everyone is in position. Zhang Xiaoxiao finally came out. For a moment, everyone present was silent. Zhang Xiaoxiao wore a conservative red dress that reached to her ankles. The skirt and neckline were decorated with handmade laces of the same color. There were also handmade roses piled there. She curled up hair and put on red high heels. Even though it was just going to be an ordinary wedding, she was determined to look like a bride. At least it is the look of the bride that I like. Compared with the wedding dresses of later generations, what I can do is too limited. This is the only choice she can make. When the big day finally arrived, Zhang Xiaoxiao was extremely calm, applying powder and makeup steadily with both hands. This is brought about by the eldest sister. It is not a feeling she likes, but it is the only way to dress up. If she didn't do this, Fan Qiuying would rush in and help her dress up herself. Perhaps because of this, she was finally so tired that she no longer knew how nervous she was. Now she appears in front of everyone. Everyone was waiting for them. Zhang Xiaoxiao's hands were cold. Song Moding stood blankly for a moment, then stepped forward to hold her left hand, using his big and warm fingers to convey his body heat to her. He felt her trembling, so he symbolically wrapped his arms around her waist. Cause people laughing and young people whistling. Two people read their vows. This oath is characteristic of this era and is not like a wedding oath. When it was Zhang Xiaoxiao's turn, she unexpectedly found that her voice was equally smooth. Amidst everyone's cheers, Song Moding slipped a plain gold ring from his pocket into her finger. Zhang Xiaoxiao also took out a gold ring and put it on Song Moding's knuckle. It was a plain gold ring. A ring, like hers. This ring was prepared by Song Moding for Zhang Xiaoxiao in advance, and these were among the things he brought from Haishi. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't expect that he would also have a ring. This era was not yet fashionable for rings, and she had never worn a ring in her previous life. Conditions did not allow it, and the wedding ring looked awkward on her hand, symbolizing that she was now someone else's wife. Of course, there are also sets of jewelry and clothes, all of which are the latest styles from Haishi. The ceremony was completed and they were married. The bride, the groom, would like to have a cup of wine. Someone had a bad idea and brought over a bottle of their special Lasheo. Wedding programs for the bride and groom are also a feature. Zhang Xiaoxiao had the courage to drink it. She was not afraid. She had a good drinking capacity. The problem is that after drinking a glass of wine, biting an apple, and lighting up cigarettes, it's almost endless. The two of them were being played around with. Finally, everyone was stopped by Mr. Song's eyes and let them go obediently. Zhang Xiaoxiao almost collapsed on the pit as soon as he entered the new house. There was no wedding ceremony at all when I got married in my previous life. I just took a small baggage and got married directly. There were no relatives or friends, and there was no wedding. The two of them simply moved in and lived together. What Zhang Xiaoxiao faced was that he suddenly had 3 more children and became someone else's wife and mother. The hustle and bustle made her so exhausted that she had no time to experience the feeling of a bride. In this life I have learned that getting married is not an easy thing, but although I am physically tired, I feel very excited. This is her wedding, a lifelong memory. This time, the person who joins hands for life is a man that she likes and wants to look forward to a better future. A new chapter in life begins. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 257. Chapter 257, What are you doing to make such a big fuss? Song Moding looked at his wife's dress. Xiao Xiao, you are so beautiful. Everyone has a love for beauty, and he is not immune to it. His daughter-in-law is inherently beautiful. Wearing this outfit today, the first thing he saw was really stunning. At first glance, it looks like the most delicate flower in the sea of flowers, especially Zhang Xiaoxiao's charming smile surrounded by warm red roses, which is so beautiful that it makes people's hearts tremble. This is the wedding dress I made for myself. According to my mother's wishes, what you see today should be a fat daughter-in-law wrapped in a red cotton jacket and cotton trousers. Zhang Xiaoxiao stood up and answered with some pride. It was absolutely correct not to follow what he meant. It was a pity that he didn't ask anyone to take a photo. Otherwise, wearing this outfit, the two of them would be a perfect match standing together. Song Moding couldn't help but hug the person into his arms. Now he counted him as his own. I couldn't help but feel a heat in my chest. The idea of doing something is just around the corner. Xiao Song, Xiao Xiao, come over and eat quickly. Fan Qiuying extinguished the charm in Song Moding's heart with a voice. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled. Come on, my mother must have cooked something delicious today. I'm so hungry. I ate 2 poached eggs in the morning all day today, and then they tormented me all day. Now I'm so hungry back. Took Song Moding and walked out. The big hand holds the little hand. Hands together. Song Moding suddenly realized that there was another person accompanying him. From today on, this companionship will last for a lifetime. They will be together for life and death. Hold Zhang Xiaoxiao's fingers tightly and said, Xiao Xiao, I will be good to you for the rest of my life, don't worry. The coldness of Zhang Xiaoxiao's fingers made him suddenly realize that Zhang Xiaoxiao was still a little girl. Although she was 19 years old, she suddenly jumped from the love of her parents and the care of her family to being by his side. The old life has been completely overturned. This girl must be so worried and afraid of the future. Zhang Xiaoxiao nodded with trust. She believed that Song Moding was worthy of her trust no matter what. The two people came to their small canteen and saw a table full of dishes. At this moment, the people outside have dispersed, and the only ones left behind are their own family members. Of course, the farm's production team leader and forestry director stayed behind. They were the witnesses, so it was natural for them to have this meal at this time. Mr. Song and Mrs. Song are the superior ones. Zhang Xiaoxiao was a little surprised when he saw Yehua and Fang Pia's Hong. I didn't expect that 2 people would actually stay for dinner. In what capacity? Could it be that they were relatives of the woman? Fan Qiuying looked at her son-in-law and daughter, and directly pulled them to sit next to the old lady and the old man. She stayed close to her daughter, and her eyes were filled with joy when she saw her daughter, especially because her daughter was so beautifully dressed. However, Fan Qiuying was still thinking about it. She felt that the only flaw was that she did not wear cotton-padded clothes and trousers. These cotton-padded clothes and trousers represented the wealth and warmth that her daughter would live in the future. Come on, use your chopsticks. The bride and groom are already in place. Let's raise a toast today to congratulate the bride and groom and wish them a happy new life in the future. Of course, give me a great grandson soon, my old man. It can be said that I can close my eyes. I also like my great granddaughter. Don't worry, our family does not favor sons over daughters. We all like having children. A man as serious as the old man could actually say such a thing today. Everyone is happy. Old man, Xiao Song is a capable man, and Xiao Xiao is also a powerful girl. They live together as a couple. Don't worry, they will live a harmonious life. Just wait until you have your great-grandson. Guo Dongjun raised his glass and said to the old man that he was very satisfied with the two educated youths in front of him. This couple was really called a talented man and a beautiful woman. I'd like to lend you auspicious words, I'd like to lend you auspicious words. Officer Wang also raised his glass. He came here specifically on behalf of his parents. His own grandfather suffered from high blood pressure again and was admitted to the hospital. His mother and father returned to their hometown to take care of him. Otherwise, his parents would have to come to attend this trip. How could he not come to Zhang Xiaoxiao's wedding? In the eyes of his parents, Zhang Xiaoxiao is a noble person in their family. His father's rheumatoid arthritis has long been cured, and others are surprised when he goes out. Everybody is asking about the fact that my old cold legs, which have been suffering from rheumatism for so many years, are actually getting better. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding, I wish you a happy wedding. Of course, I have prepared a gift here. This gift was not prepared by me. It was specially requested by my parents. I must give it to you too. This is but the two elders' thoughts. Officer Wang brought it over, and it turned out to be a sewing machine. Mr. Wang, why do you give such a heavy gift? How can I accept it? I understand your uncle and aunt's wishes. However, we really can't accept this gift. Zhang Xiaoxiao took a look. How could he accept such a heavy gift? This is a very important gift in this day and age. Steward Wang drank a glass of wine and said with a smile. Anyway, I'll bring you the stuff. If you don't accept it, go tell my parents. I didn't give it to you. If you want to give you a gift according to my wishes, I will definitely get you a work quota. I will transfer you two directly to the county seat. If you run away, our county would like to poach you directly. When Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding heard this, they wondered how to send this thing back. They sent it back, and the Wang family sent it back. This pushing back and forth made everyone embarrassed. Director Wang, thank you, Uncle Wang, and Aunt Wang, we have accepted this gift. The two of them had an idea. Anyway, Director Wang was not married yet. When Director Wang got married, they would give some gifts to repay the kindness. The meal was lively and joyful. Yehua and Fang Piashong couldn't swallow the food they ate there. As for the food, this meal is really delicious. It has all kinds of fish and meat. Fan Jiuying's craftsmanship is comparable to that of a hotel chef. Braised pork, crispy chicken, sweet and sour carp, various stir-fried dishes and side dishes, at least all the guests will enjoy it. But two people have something on their minds, how can they live together? Yehua saw that Zhang Xiaoxiao's wedding was held so grandly today, and he felt uncomfortable. He saw that his son was getting married in 2 days, but what did his son have? He even had a decent set of clothes. Don't take action. She couldn't help but think about the hundreds of dollars in Zhang Xiaoxiao's hand. With this money, I might be able to buy a decent wedding for my son. But how could Zhang Xiaoxiao give her money? Fang Piashong was already on pins and needles there. If Yehua hadn't pulled him hard, he would have walked away. Zhang Xiaoxiao got married, and it was so grand, and so many people were invited. This was not a slap in the face, and he would get married in a few days. Zhang Xiaoxiao's wedding today is there, and everyone around her must be talking about it these days. What will you do when you get married? Compare each other, and you will not be compared to the dust. Don't tell me whether you are ready for a dress or not. Even the food and drinks on the wedding table today are not something you can prepare. Not to mention their new house today, they saw that everything they bought in the new house was new, except for the house being painted. And the gift giver gave so many things today, including a bicycle radio and a sewing machine. Not to mention the big guys coming to the wedding, just the things given by the farm workers will definitely make people jealous. Nowadays, some people are very generous when they get married. They give a quilt or a blanket. This is a big deal. Most people give at most a kettle, a wash basin, soap, towels, etc., as well as some money. If you give money as a gift, it's only 80 cents. But today, look at how many people in this forest farm have given gifts such as blankets, towels, quilts, pillows and so on. You know, these blankets and towels cost more than 10 yuan each. The workers at this forest farm just give it away as they say. These people are too lavish and have nothing to do with Zhang Xiaoxiao. They just give it away like this. He didn't know that many workers in the forest farm were grateful to Zhang Xiaoxiao for treating their children and adults and saving their lives. It was out of repayment that if someone gave Zhang Xiaoxiao something, Zhang Xiaoxiao wouldn't accept it. Jiang's educated youths have a good heart and have never cared about this with anyone else, but they feel uneasy in their hearts. What a great thing it is for Zhang's hiking to get married. Taking advantage of this opportunity, everyone tried their best to give Zhang's hiking some gifts. On the one hand, they wanted to repay their gratitude to Zhang's hiking, and on the other hand, they also sincerely congratulated Zhang's hiking on his wedding. So, everyone is willing to give it up. It's not a good atmosphere in Fangpei Center. I won't be able to hold a decent wedding by then. The educated youth on the entire farm are still talking about it everywhere. He glared hard at Zhang Xiaoxiao. It was this woman. Just get married. What are you doing to make such a big fuss? End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 258. Chapter 258 I won't hurt you. Yehua saw that he had almost eaten, and the old man was a little drunk, so he got up and chatted with Zhang Xiaoxiao. Xiaoxiao, can I have a few words with you? The atmosphere at the table is now very relaxed, and many people have left. Secretary Wang has already left by car. He still has work in the county and he cannot stay here overnight. Zhang Yu and Qin Ming were also taken along the way. The two of them had to go back with their children and had to go to work tomorrow, so they took a day off. At first everyone thought that Yehua and Fang Piashong should have left long ago, but these two people just sat there from the beginning to the end. It's a happy day, but it's not easy to drive people away. At this time, Yehua spoke, and Zhang Xiaoxiao was quite surprised. She probably thought about it for a long time. She originally thought that Yehua should go to the old man, but when she saw what he said, she immediately understood that it seemed to be directed at her. And yeah, just tell me if you have anything to say. She pretended that she couldn't understand what Yehua meant. Yehua must have wanted to pull her aside and talk quietly. In public, Yehua didn't have the courage to act recklessly. But Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't want to be angry with Yehua. It was her first day of marriage today. This woman rushed to bring trouble to herself. There must be some conspiracy. Zhang Xiaoxiao was not prepared to coddle Yehua. The last time I had an idea, I wanted her to replace Fang Piashong and go to the countryside. Now this wishful thinking has been shattered by me. Fang Piashong didn't enjoy the treatment of his young master in the city like he did in his previous life. What's the trick this time? But there is no plot or conspiracy here. Stay unchanged and adapt to all changes. As long as Yehua can be truly shameless. The lively atmosphere on the table suddenly quieted down. Xiaoxiao, I just want to talk to you two alone. Yehua was a little embarrassed, and he hated this dead girl even more. This was not just pretending to be confused. How can you say this in front of so many people? That wouldn't bring disgrace to the Fang family. Fang Ziwen can tear himself apart when he goes back. Song Moding glanced at Zhang Xiaoxiao. And yeah, if you have anything to say, just say it here. Why bother to talk to Xiaoxiao alone? It's just the first day of my wedding today, and my wife has just taken it and hasn't warmed it up yet. You are going to take me from my hand. It's not okay to away my wife. Smiling, blatantly messing around. Yehua was even more speechless. A few words could cost him a piece of meat. I have never met Mr. Song's eldest grandson before. I really didn't expect that this grandson would be so generous, and I didn't know whether it was appropriate to say this in front of so many people. This is in public. It will have some impact if you don't pay attention to it. It's okay, forget it, let's talk about it another day. If she could say this in front of everyone, would she still be so embarrassed? Yehua had no choice but to get up and pull Fang Piashong away. The old lady took a look at her grandson and he was really protecting his wife. This newly married daughter-in-law can be so protective of her. It seems that her great-grandson will soon be embraced. Okay, it's been a tiring day. You two should go back to your room and have a rest. We don't need you here. Your grandpa can still drink this wine for at least 2 more hours. You have to stay here with you today, but there's no need to sleep. Fan Qiuying also quickly greeted them and asked them to go back and rest. The young couple were newlyweds today. After a tiring day, they don't need to do anything. Zhang Xiaoxiao had no choice but to go back to his room. In fact, he was not too tired today, but his parents were all busy. In her last life, she got married so quietly, but in this life, with her parents, sister, and so many people around her, with their blessings, she suddenly felt that her life would get better and better in the future. This is the difference. Rebirth is probably to let her experience a different life. The only regret is that my best friend Jiashu is not here. But sitting there, I couldn't help but feel vaguely worried. Jiashu had been back for more than 20 days, and this had never happened in her previous life. What exactly happened here? 2 days ago, she even mentioned it to the production team leader to urge Jiashu to return to the team as soon as possible. Educated youths cannot just stay at home for a long time. Li Dahu also said that he would call in the next 2 days. This matter can only rush Jiashu and the others to the street. What are you thinking about, so enchanted? I gave you some foot washing water, wash your face and feet quickly. Song Moding came in with a basin of hot water. He knew that Zhang Xiaoxiao was tired. Not to mention Zhang Xiaoxiao, he was a grown man and he was very tired after a busy day today. I really didn't expect that getting married would be so tiring. I am tired but I feel beautiful. A kind of great joy called happiness keeps bubbling in my heart. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled. After soaking his feet, he was about to pour the water. He helped Song Moding fill a basin. As a couple, you have to come and go. You can't just rely on Song Moding to pamper you all day long. If you don't care about your husband, then what kind of couple are you? Song Moding took it and said, I'm coming. You've already been cleaned up and get on the bed quickly. Song Moding was already thirsty when he saw his daughter-in-law who had changed into pajamas after washing. How can you let your daughter-in-law go out now? As for my daughter-in-law, she is wearing a dress and pajamas that show off her curves, which is fine for others to see. Zhang Xiaoxiao had no choice but to go to the trap. Her pajamas were made by herself. They were made of pajamas made of small floral cotton. She specially made 2 outfits, one with a skirt and the other with long sleeves and trousers. Song Moding was not treated so well. He originally wanted to dress him up, but the cotton cloth didn't have any nice colors. Even if Zhang Xiaoxiao did it, Song Moding might not be willing to wear floral pajamas for men. So just do it. Songmoding finished washing up quickly outside, with steam still rising from his skin, and came back to close the door. Songmoding stood there and looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao. Zhang Xiaoxiao bit her lip and let his searching eyes look at her from top to bottom, as if he could see through her floral nightgown. He sat down on the edge of the bed, took off his shoes, then stood up and pulled out his shirt. He unbuttoned and took off his shirt, staring at her without blinking. He walked towards her. Zhang Xiaoxiao shivered nervously and had no choice. Although they loved each other, they didn't even have a kiss in common. She forced herself not to tremble. She was about to have close contact with someone, and she couldn't help but become frightened. The experience of newlyweds in my previous life was not pleasant. She tried hard not to think about the past. This was Songmoding, a brand new person, the one she loved. He loves her, takes care of her, and is very gentle and considerate. He is a completely different concept from what she thinks of as a husband. She has to trust that he won't hurt her. Zhang Xiaoxiao involuntarily tightened the skirt of his clothes with his fingers and bit his lower lip. But who can tell her that imagination and reality are two completely different concepts? Her nervousness will not disappear just because the person in front of her is the one she loves. Songmoding saw her nervous eyes and slipped his hand into her hair. "You need not be afraid," he murmured. "I won't hurt you." He held up her head and forced her to look directly at him. He carried her to bed and turned out all the lights. "I didn't write anything excessive, so I probably won't get a 404. I have considered it carefully, for fear of going too far." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 259. Chapter 259. I still want to help Zhang Xiaoxiao take care of the child. Zhang Xiaoxiao woke up. Last night was unexpectedly harmonious. She was lying on the quilt, her whole body ached as if she had been run over by a truck, but she had a smile on her lips. Know that this is an inevitable process. But whenever I think of everything last night, there seems to be a smile on my lips. She couldn't suppress her smile. She didn't expect that the process and experience of two people in love being together would be unforgettable for a lifetime. The pain that I once thought was difficult to endure seems to have become the beginning of sweetness. It turns out that if you do this with the one you love, the process will change a lot, and everything in the process will become magical. Zhang Xiaoxiao thought, this beginning is really exciting. But I heard someone moving slightly behind me. Turning his head, he saw that Songmoding had picked up his clothes and was putting on his shirt and pants. Songmoding tried his best to be as gentle as possible, but unexpectedly saw Zhang Xiaoxiao turning her head and looking into her bright black eyes, looking at him with a smile. It reminded him of the way the girl was holding back the pain and crying last night. So fragile. But there was complete trust and tolerance in his eyes. "You sleep a little longer. I'll bring you some face wash later." Can't help but think to myself, doting on my daughter-in-law. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled, "You can't pamper me so much and make me lose my temper in the future. When the time comes, my mother will scold me when she goes out. You don't know, you are now the favorite in your mother-in-law's heart, my daughter is already behind." That voice was accusing his own mother of being partial. Songmoding laughed loudly and couldn't help but pounce on him again, with the man and the quilt directly pressed under him. "Then let's just work together and let my mother-in-law scold me, otherwise, we'll have to sleep in the cage again." He couldn't help but look down, and saw that the quilt couldn't hide the spring sunshine at all. Zhang Xiaoxiao was anxious. "Don't be ridiculous. Although we live in a separate courtyard, my mother will definitely come over and call me soon. It is absolutely impossible for me to sleep in. If she hears something by then, do you still want to be a human being?" Today is the second day of the wedding. Although I don't have parents-in-law around to take care of me, I can't get up too late. By then, just the teasing looks from the educated youths would be enough to make her unbearable. Song Moding kissed her heavily on the forehead before standing up. Okay, from now on my wife will do whatever she says in our house. Xiao Xiao, I'm really happy, I'm glad you are willing to marry me. The joy in his voice could not be concealed. Zhang Xiao Xiao reached out and kissed his forehead. The moment he came back with bright eyes, he hurriedly hid himself under the quilt. Song Moding's hearty laughter filled the yard. You two, get up. I was about to call you to eat. My aunt has already prepared the meal, so I am sending you too. You have forgotten that your uncle and aunt are going back to the city today. Hyeguo shouldered the arduous task of waking up the young couple, but his uncle and aunt had to take the shuttle bus into the city at 10 o'clock, otherwise they would not be able to catch the evening train. Every train ticket has been bought. Although I know that it is normal for a couple to be unable to get up after a wedding, but there is nothing I can do about it now. Patriot, I understand, we will go out right away. Song Moding blinked. When Zhang Xiao Xiao heard this, he stood up in a hurry. His parents were going back today and they couldn't live on the farm forever. There are brothers and sisters at home. Besides, my grandparents and uncle also have a lot of things to do. It would be inappropriate if my parents never go back. The two of them finished washing and hurried to the canteen. Fan Qiuying looked at the blush on her daughter's face and the spring between her brows, and finally nodded with satisfaction. It seemed that the young couple lived in harmony. This way they can rest assured. After all, we have to leave. We can't let our daughter be an educated youth here. They are also hanging out on the farm and have a lot of things to do at home. After dinner, Song Moding and Zhang Xiao Xiao, Song Fan Qiuying and Zhang Lishi took the shuttle bus to leave. The two people took the shuttle bus directly to the train station and watched the two people get on the train. Song Moding had put their luggage for them, and the two of them bought sleeper tickets. After all, there is a train station here. Zhang Xiao Xiao was afraid that his parents would suffer, so he bought a train ticket for a lower berth. Although it was a bit more expensive, his parents didn't have to suffer so much. Fan Qiuying and Zhang Lishi waved their hands. Xiao Xiao, Xiao Song, you go back, live a good life, don't worry about home, come back to the city to see us when you have time. Fan Qiuying's eyes turned red again. The days she spent with her daughter were always so short. Now the daughter is no longer a member of their family and has been married. When she comes back next time, she will come back with her son-in-law. Who knows when they will be able to return to the city? Although my daughter said she would go home during the Chinese New Year. But there are still several months before the Chinese New Year. It is only July or August, and it will still be at least half a year before the Chinese New Year. Fan Qiuying cried unsatisfactorily. Zhang Lishi handed his daughter-in-law a handkerchief. Stop crying. Mr. Song has already told me. The policies from above have been issued. It is said that the college entrance examination will be resumed this year. They have been preparing for it. The young couple has been reviewing. Maybe the college entrance examination will end this year. Just go back to the city. After we go back, we should tidy up the house and tidy up the house. Rebuild it if it needs to be rebuilt, or else we can buy a new house. If the couple really returns to the city, they have to go home to live after all, although the Song family will definitely prepare a house for them. However, after all, the daughter must have a place to live with her parents' family, so you'd better think carefully about how to clean up the house. Hurry up and divert your daughter-in-law's attention. This daughter-in-law rarely cries. Seeing his daughter-in-law in tears makes Zhang Lishi feel uncomfortable. He and his daughter have been together for a long time, and they are separated like this. Both of them felt uncomfortable, but as a man, he couldn't cry like his wife. Sure enough, as soon as Fan Qiuying heard this, Her attention immediately shifted and she became excited. His father, if this is really the case, then we really have to make preparations. You also know that our Zhonglei is getting older and will marry a wife in the future. Although our house is large enough to live in, it is small. It would be inconvenient for the 3 younger sisters to come back to live. Otherwise, we should buy another yard. I heard that Aunt Lee's house next door wants to sell the yard. I heard that their house was a courtyard left over from their ancestors. If they hadn't been short of money, they wouldn't have sold it. Their yard is much bigger than ours. When the time comes, we can open up the 2 courtyards and build them directly for the young couple to live in. It will be no problem. Set aside a place for all 3 daughters to live and tidy up the house. The children will be able to come back to live as soon as they want to. By the way, we need to plant a grape trellis and a few trees in the yard. Your daughter likes to sit under the grape trellis to enjoy the cool air, and she also likes to look at flowers. She needs to get some flowers. No, I have to think about it. I have to tidy up the yard better and put up a swing. If they come back with more children in the future, they must have a place to play, and they must not wrong the children. Speaking of these, Fan Qiuying completely forgot about her sadness just now. Just thinking about the children running all over the yard made Fan Qiuying feel energetic all over her body. She also wanted to help Zhang Xiaoxiao take care of the child. You can buy a yard, but you don't have to open it up. Just give it to Xiaoxiao. The money is small. Only when the money is used on the child can we be worthy of her filial piety to us. If Zhonglei has the ability, he can rely on himself. If he doesn't, we still have gold bars. They still took advantage of the money. Did you hear that? Zhang Lishi was afraid that Fan Qiuying would be confused. Fan Qiuying glanced at her husband and said, "You. Who do you think I am? I'm not worried about Xiaoxiao's knowledge or unwillingness. I'm someone who is greedy for these external things. That's my daughter who I raised myself. I feel more sorry for you than you do. You're not greedy for things outside yourself, then who held the money bag all the way without letting go or blinking an eye?" Zhang Lishi made fun of his wife. Fan Qiuying didn't even dare to close her eyes along the way. Fan Qiuying became angry with embarrassment and said, "You ghost, you still dare to talk about me now? Your eyes are no worse than mine. Your eyes are so wide that you look at everyone like a thief. Everyone along the way avoided you when they saw you." Zhang Lishi chuckled. It really is. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 260. Chapter 260. The first feeling is that it's a surprise. Zhang Xiaoxiao sent her parents away with great reluctance. Song Moding pulled her and the 2 of them walked back to the forest farm. The land on their farm is about to be harvested, and this is a busy farming season. The 2 of them had to rush back as soon as possible. They only took time to get married. To put it bluntly, time was very tight. In this era, it is impossible to get a marriage leave at all, and everything must make way for the busy work of farming. Song Moding is the captain and cannot leave anytime and anywhere. A jeep parked next to Zhang Xiaoxiao. Song Moding, Zhang Xiaoxiao has just met you. Originally, I wanted to go to the forest farm to inform you. What a broken phone number in your forest farm. I called for a long time and couldn't get through. I went back and asked your farm director to fix it quickly. If there's anything urgent, I can't get through on this phone, I'm so anxious." Secretary Wang jumped out of the car with a look of disgust on his face. "Officer Wang, what do you want from us?" Song Moding was wary that Mr. Wang's kindness to his wife was a bit too much. "Every man will be on guard. I'm here to inform you. I had a meeting in the county today and got the documents. It is said that there is going to be a conference in northern Beijing, and the scope of discussion at this conference is about the resumption of the college entrance examination. This is internal news. I heard that the pass rate maybe it's 100%. The leadership above is very interesting and wants to resume the college entrance examination. You are high school students in the city after all, so this is an advantageous time for you. Although it is said that educated youths can now return to the city, the number of places to return to the city is very tight this time. I just remind you that if you have time, you should pick up the book and review it quickly. If you want to register for the college entrance examination this time, you can come to me directly. I need the recommendation of your farm director and forest farm director. You should be fine. Come to me directly when the time comes. I may not be able to help you register directly. Save you a lot of trouble. Steward Wang really wants to help them. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding looked at each other. Zhang Xiaoxiao knows the clear time to hold a meeting in September to pass the policy of resuming the college entrance examination. The first college entrance examination will be held in December at the end of this year. The time is very short. From the issuance of the policy to the first resumption of the college entrance examination, there is basically no time for preparation. And they have been preparing for more than a year. This was just as she expected. Song Moding was informed by someone a long time ago. However, it was difficult for everyone to give an exact message. Unexpectedly, Director Wang gave them an exact time. It seems that they will have to review more intensively after the autumn harvest. After all, after the college entrance examination, it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for all of them. There is no need to compete with others for a place back in the city, and you can go to your ideal university. It is the dream of any educated youth. Director Wang, thank you for informing us. We will prepare as soon as we get back. The two of them had a tacit understanding and did not say anything that they had reviewed long ago. After all, if they said such things, Wang Qian would feel that the other person's favor was worthless and wasted. It will also make people more vigilant. How could they know in advance about the resumption of the college entrance examination? Zhang Xiaoxiao returned to the farm and saw Yehua coming out of Mr. Song's house. The two of them got married, and Mr. Song and Mrs. Song were also planning to return to the county town tomorrow. Seeing Zhang Xiaoxiao, Yehua immediately changed his face. Xiaoxiao, Mom wants to say a few words to you. Zhang Xiaoxiao is shocked. Grandmas, for God's sake. It rains red from the sky. When will Yehua treat her with tenderness? She looked sad, and she did look like a biological mother. However, if she didn't know Yehua's true nature, she would really think that this biological mother had changed her temper. Unfortunately, she knew the woman in front of her too well. Auntie, please don't mistake your daughter for anything. I've never seen anyone recognize my daughter everywhere, and I don't have the habit of treating others as my mother. If I remember correctly, my surname is Zhang, and I am the daughter of the Zhang family. Yehua's originally well-prepared mood was directly shattered by Zhang Xiaoxiao's words. I felt resentful in my heart, but thinking of my son, I could only grit my teeth and endure it. Xiaoxiao, I know you resent your mother and feel that she is very ruthless. It seems that as long as you are the eldest brother, she will do everything to pave the way for your eldest brother and treat you as your eldest brother, but it is not easy for your mother, do you know? Over the years, your grandparents have treated you. Mom is so picky. Ever since the incident between you and Fang Xiaowai broke out, she wants to take you back. How much effort did Mom put in? But your grandparents don't understand. They think I accidentally lost you. Moreover, they dislike you being raised in such a family and want you to go to the countryside to become an educated youth in place of your elder brother. That is also the intention of your father and your grandparents. My mother never thought of this at all, but she couldn't help herself. How could I make the decision in this family? Zhang Xiaoxiao almost didn't applaud Yehua. The acting was so sincere and heartfelt, just like a helpless mother. To win sympathy. Change the root to a warm and affectionate root. No matter who this aunt means, I don't want to resent others. I live a good life in the Zhang family, and I don't feel bad about it. And I think the Zhang family's parents are my biological parents. Instead, I think you might it's really a mistake, Fang Ziyi is your daughter. This way of doing things and this cold temperament are exactly the same as those of your Fang family. So don't tell me this. It doesn't matter whether you are capable or powerless. It has no impact on me. I never expected to be a member of the Fang family, so it's really unnecessary for you to tell me this. It's fine for us to live our own lives. Didn't someone from your Fang family say that? From then on, the water from the well did not interfere with the water from the river. Xiao Xiao, you are really my biological daughter. How can any mother not want her child back? Ever since I found out that you are my child, I can't sleep thinking about you day and night. Look at how serious the dark circles are under Mom's eyes. I've been suffering from insomnia for a long time. If you really hate Mom, can I kneel down and admit your mistake? How can this girl have such a hard heart? She has already told her about it, but she still doesn't have a soft heart. This dead girl does look like that dead man. Exactly the same stubbornness. As stubborn as a stone. Auntie, your kneeling to heaven and earth has nothing to do with me. I have nothing to do with you. If you really kneel down, I can really bear it. Also, I have told you from the beginning to the end that I am from the Zhang family. My daughter, it has nothing to do with your Fang family, don't keep coming here to identify your relatives. Zhang Xiaoxiao was on guard against Yehua plotting against him. Yehua cried and grabbed Zhang Xiaoxiao. Xiaoxiao, Mom knew you were getting married, so she bought you a wedding gift right away, just to watch you get married. Just forgive Mom once. Hold Zhang Xiaoxiao tightly and not let go. Zhang Xiaoxiao was speechless. Still forcing it? Yehua, there is no need to act there. What do you think about my daughter? I know you know it, and God knows it. You don't want to recognize me, and I don't want to recognize you, so what do you want to do? Don't even think about getting any advantage from me. Zhang Xiaoxiao whispered in Yehua's ear. Yehua suddenly let go of his hand. Is this daughter a monster? How is it possible to know what one is thinking? Impossible. Must be scaring her. Xiao Xiao, I am really your mother. Yehua shouted at the top of his lungs, and then bumped his head against the wooden pillar in front of him. He fell to the ground covered in blood. Zhang Xiaoxiao's first impression was that he was in trouble. End of this chapter.